If there is one day in my life that has defined me, it has to be back when I was a younger lad. I must give a bit of background, though. I started seeing things moving out of the corner of my eye. Now, seeing something slightly move out of my line of sight didn't really bother me that much. Even the noises while I was trying to sleep didn't throw me off that much. My upstairs neighbors are some of the weirdest people I have ever met. One edited his apartment to be able to practice javelin, and another one was a Peruvian flute player. I'm getting a bit off track now. So after 3 days of these things moving out of the corner of my eye, I started seeing things completely move out of my vision of sight. One time during work, I was standing in my cubicle talking to Fred in the next cubicle over. I looked up over at the hallway that led from the office to the stairs. The wall blocked view of the stairs. As I looked over, I saw a purple blur move from the side of the hall, down the hallway, and out of view. My heart nearly stopped. I saw this a few more times, coming to the conclusion a weird guy in purple was stalking me. The noises at night got louder and more terrifying. After a week or so of that, I started hearing a voice at night. It was quiet and heavily mumbled. Using what was left of my sanity, I came to the conclusion that it was just my weird neighbors being weird. Until the second night of whispering, it said my name. In a deep voice that location could not be found said, It was faint the first night, but after that it got louder and louder. After the 5th night of whispering, I went to my friend's house where some of my friends were going for a small party. My 5 nights of no sleep were obvious to my friends. They were worried about me. I assured them that it was just some stress. I was trying to make myself look not as crazy as my friends already knew I was. After a bit of drinking and our extreme D&D match, I kicked ass that night with them. I looked out the window. There standing was this purple fuck who kept fucking with me. It wore a dark purple suit with tons of dots on the suit, though their colors I couldn't figure out. But it wasn't his suit that caught my eye. It was his face. Or lack of it. As I blinked, he was gone. I jumped off the couch. My friends were able to calm me down after a bit. I was able to fall asleep that night. There was no noise. Not a creak, scratch, or whisper. After waking up on my day off, I realized I needed some groceries. I walked down to the Walmart. As soon as I got there, I was surprised to see that there weren't any people there. The parking lot was full as usual, but inside, no one was there. Though this should have sent off red flags, for some reason my brain came up with the conclusion,
Yeah, no stupid people to deal with.
As I went about myself, grabbing everything on the list as my usual day of shopping goes, it wasn't until my last item that my body started realizing something was off. I started sweating, and my heart was pumping really fast. In my haze of stupidity, I just passed it off as being hot. It wasn't until I was 1 aisle away from my last item that my brain started working.
Wait, it's a Saturday. This place should be packed, and it's the 2nd day of the month.
I grabbed my last item, sauerkraut, as adrenaline started kicking in. I ran as fast as I could down the rows of food until I ran into something. Hit it like a brick wall. I went flying back into a nearby rack of toys. As I waved about trying to defend myself, I grabbed a handle and started swinging the item that had fallen on me as a weapon. As I started knocking things away, I thought I had defeated the monster. But when I opened my eyes, there was nothing there. And I was holding a wiffle ball bat. And the monster I thought was attacking me was some toys that I had knocked out of the way in the confusion. I stood up and looked at the exit. There was the doors that led outside as normal, but I couldn't see anything outside. It was pitch black. My brain came to the quick conclusion that probably meant death. My feet figured out the same thing as I was running down the rows as fast as I could to the tools in hope to find some sort of weapon. I heard the same voice as I had heard during my sleep. Deep, low, terrifying, and this time echoing loud. It boomed across the whole store.
Run as fast as you want, Paul, but you'll never escape.
I started to hear footsteps from behind me, and I started feeling breath against my neck. I was only 1 or 2 rows away from the tool section. When I finally reached the row, I slid down to the middle of the row and grabbed the first thing that survival horror games had taught me was a weapon: a crowbar. I turned around and swung the crowbar as hard as I could, hitting my target hard. The hit made my hand sting in pain, and I dropped my weapon. I fell back to the ground as I looked up upon my nightmare fuel. It stood at around 8 feet tall in a purple suit. The purple suit was covered in different colored polka dots on his suit, his face being completely white from what I could see with his hat covering his face. His hat, with its purple glove, slowly moved up to his hat. As his hand hit the back of his purple hat with a band of the colors of the rainbow that held a single cartoonish red flower in the band, his hat tilted back from being down so I could see his face. His face was completely white, with no facial features. Except on his face was drawn rather large black eyes and a drawn-on mouth that showed no emotion. His long and slender body started to slightly move. His drawn-on mouth and eyes started moving. He had pupils in his large black eyes. His mouth turned into a huge smile. He looked down at me, frozen in fear from the thing that was, well, splendor. He then said in a rather high-pitched voice,
Oh, yeah.
He then cleared his voice while holding up one of his long, slender fingers. After he finished, he said in a louder voice,
Hello! I'm the Splendorman!
His voice echoed about the store. Then the Candyman song started playing. Except Candyman was changed from Candyman to Splendor Man.
The Splendorman gun!
It went on for about 3 minutes until it finally stopped. He kept the same happy stare at me the whole time. After the song finished, I was trembling, covered in sweat and fear. I, finally after a minute, said,
What is a Splendorman?
He chuckled, grabbed me by the hand, and pulled me up to my feet, looking at me with the same happy expression. Blackness slowly surrounded us. All I could see was his face. His voice dropped low. He said in almost a whisper,
I'm your fears, your nightmares, and the darkest corners of the world.
He then looked down at his hand. In his hand, he was holding a 4x4 card. He then muttered to himself,
Pause for dramatic effect.
Swinging his arms up, knocking me to the floor, yelled in his high-pitched voice,
I'm the Splendorman!
His voice echoed about the store. Again. The Splendor Man song started playing again. Suddenly, I got a rush of courage, stood up and yelled,
Stop! What? The music? Yes, Splendorman, the music. Are you not finding this funny? Not really.
He suddenly had a sad face. He then threw a taco at my face and hit me. I stumbled back and said,
What the fuck?
Splendor Man was laughing his ass off. He then put his ass back on and whipped another taco in my face. I whipped away the taco and said,
Why the hell did you do that? Because it was random. And as any 7th grade girl will tell you, that is the height of comedy.
He literally made this face. Not kidding. He finished his sentence with a twirl, then started eating a flying pancake cat.
Just because some teenage girls find it funny doesn't actually make it funny.
He dropped his flying pancake cat thing out of his hands and mouth. Then his face turned into one of these fucking things. He then slapped me. My weak and fragile body fell to the floor. He burst out laughing. I got up and brushed myself off. After a minute or so, he stopped laughing, looked down at me, and made a look of disapproval.
You don't like slapstick either? What is wrong with you? Nothing. But that's beside the point. Where am I? What's a Splendor Man? Well, I am the Splendor Man, a sort of demon thing that does the bidding of the devil. Maybe you have heard about my more popular brother, Slender Man. Oh yeah, that shitty game nobody would stop talking about for a month, then everybody forgot about. Finally! Someone who agrees that Slender was a poo-poo game. Why did you say poo? You know I don't care. But where am I? Purgatory!
In confusion, I said,
What? Walmart is purgatory? That doesn't make much sense. Oh, but Polly, it quite does. How? Well, it's evil. Yeah, let's go with that. What's so evil about it? Gosh darn it, Polly! Can't you just enjoy the randomness? Walmart is purgatory. That's comedy gold. Well, I could see some good witty humor in that, but there's no good writer who could exploit that. Oh, Polly, you must like breaking the fourth wall! Oh, no. It was just an observation.
Then a loud, booming voice echoed.
Did someone mention breaking the fourth wall?
I fell back to the ground, starting to find it quite comfortable and easier to cower on. I then yelled in fear.
Who is that? You dumb! That's the writer of this fair story! You ask too many questions and stutter too much.
The writer followed up with,
Yes, I wrote him after all my fears of a gay Slenderman and my social anxieties. I am not gay, you donkey turd!
Splendor Man replied. As the Splendor Man fought with the author, I spaced out in his own little world. I thought about the situation. Why? Why was I here? Did I do something to upset God? Maybe not believing in him, but that wouldn't upset him enough to stick me with an annoying gay Slender Man, would he? I was awoken from my mind nap when Splendor Man picked me up by my throat.
Let's get this over with,
He mumbled. I choked out.
What? Like I said, Polly, you ask too many questions.
Now in a sadder voice, Splendor Man carried me all the way to the exit and then dropped me onto the comfortable floor.
Polly, you are deader than a metaphor that the author is too lazy to make. No. Sorry, Paul, but you got hit by a bus on your way to the Walmart. Huh, you have become a statistic. But I can't be dead. Yes, you can, you idiot. Apparently you were so low on the totem pole that I had to do the job instead of either of my brothers.
He then motioned for me to have some flying pancake cat.
But I can't do a thing, Polly. You...
Splendor Man then slapped me.
I can't, Paul!
The booming voice returned.
Ugh. I just realized we can't kill him off. What? Well, he is telling the story. It wouldn't make much sense. But this barely resolves it either! Yeah, I don't know what to do with the plot. So you guys wing it for a bit while I think this through.
I was very happy at this. The fact I was going to live. I was smiling ear to ear. Splendor Man then exploded.
Must not swear, must be kind and lovable. I just want to be random and be loved. But no, my story gets hijacked by some donkey turd of an author.
The author returned.
Okay, I figured it out. What? Paul will be your proxy.
Splendor Man stood there, mouth opened and shocked.
Well, it makes sense. Since this is pretty much a self-insert fanfic, it just makes sense. But do you want to be loved by random 7th grade girls? Ugh, fine.
I cut in.
I get to live? Yeah, you get to live, Paul.
I was pretty damn happy. Splendor Man gave me a face like this. Once again, it was like this, not being lazy. Splendor Man then snapped his fingers, and we were on a rooftop overlooking the city.
Will I get to learn how to do that? What? No! That is only for people who like random. Oh, so that's how the British won World War II. What? Never mind. So, what is our first job?
Splendor Man pulled out a laptop out of his pocket. He opened it to a website called Crappypasta. He then said,
We have to protect this amazingly funny and smart pasta called Bloody Fruit Loops of Death from all these haters. Especially this dirty birdie, Tiger 10. Wait, did you just make an obscure reference? Yeah, of course! Obscure references are hilarious! Not as much as slapstick or random, but still pretty good.
I was about to disagree when he slapped me, and then burst into a long laugh. I got back up, and he laughed for a good 20 minutes. When he stopped, I said to him,
Obscure references aren't that funny because if people don't get them, they feel left out. You need to shut up! You donkey poo! Random and slapstick and obscure references are the height of humor! You are just a loser hipster hater who has no life! This is going to be a long eternity. Same here, Polly. Same here.